What happens when a casino owner publicly humiliates the most powerful mob boss in New York? When a businessman mistakes his gaming license for immunity from consequences, how long before he learns otherwise? And when John Gotti decides revenge is a dish best served cold, what does 3 years of patient planning look like? This is the story of Richard "Rick" Castellano's fatal mistake, and why every casino owner in Atlantic City still remembers what happens when you disrespect the dapper Don. Friday night, May 1985, Atlantic City. The Paradiso Casino and Hotel stood on the boardwalk, 27 stories of chrome, glass, and neon. Inside, 3,000 slot machines, roulette wheels spinning, blackjack dealers shuffling, money changing hands at dizzying rates. The air, cigarette smoke, perfume, cologne, desperation. Atlantic City in a nutshell. John Gotti, 44 years old, walked through the main entrance with 4 guys. Charcoal gray Armani suit, white shirt crisp, burgundy silk tie, 3-carat diamond ring catching lights. Dark hair slicked back perfectly. He'd driven from New York with Angelo Ruggiero, Sammy Gravano, and 2 associates for a relaxation weekend. Or so he thought. 20 feet onto the casino floor, security approached. 3 guards in cheap blazers, radio earpieces. Lead guard, military haircut, gym shoulders, stepped in front. "Mr. Gotti, I'm going to have to ask you to leave the premises." Gotti stopped. His guys stopped. Casino noise continued, bells, music, shouting, but their immediate space went quiet. "Excuse me." Gotti's voice calm, too calm. "You're banned from this establishment. Casino policy. We reserve the right to refuse service, and management has decided to exercise that right regarding you." Angelo stepped forward, big frame going hard. "You know who you're talking to." "I know exactly, sir. My instructions are clear." "Mr. Gotti needs to leave." Gotti held up hand, stopping Angelo. "I walk into a casino where I've gambled before, spent good money, never caused problems, and I'm not welcome." "That's correct, sir." "On whose authority?" "Casino owner, Mr. Richard Castellano." Gotti's jaw tightened slightly. Diamond ring caught light as his hand adjusted his tie, a gesture that looked casual but wasn't. When Gotti adjusted his tie, he was calculating. Rick Castellano, the guy who couldn't run a lemonade stand without help. That Rick Castellano. Security guard's expression stayed neutral, but his eyes showed he understood he was in deep water. "I'm just following orders, Mr. Gotti. Please don't make this difficult." For a moment, everything hung in balance. Gotti could make this very difficult. Everyone on the casino floor was watching, pretending not to. John Gotti being escorted out like some card counter. The humiliation wasn't subtle. It was public, deliberate, designed to send a message. But Gotti did something unexpected. He smiled. Not warm, not friendly. The smile a chess master gives when his opponent just sealed his own defeat. "Okay," Gotti said quietly. "No problem. We'll leave. Tell Rick Castellano that John Gotti respects his property rights. Tell him I said he runs a real class operation here." Security guards looked confused, braced for confrontation, possibly violence. Instead, Gotti turned smoothly, gestured to his guys, walked toward the entrance. 5 minutes total. Back in cars heading to different casino within 20 minutes. Angelo, driving Gotti's Lincoln, couldn't contain himself. "Boss, we just gonna let that disrespect slide." Everyone saw, Gotti agreed. "They saw me respect someone's property rights. Walk away from trouble. Be reasonable. You know what I didn't do. I didn't give Rick Castellano immediate reason to feel vindicated. Didn't prove I'm the violent thug He probably told everyone I am. Didn't do what he expected. Now he thinks he won. Sammy Gravano backseat started understanding. He didn't win. No, Sammy. He just made a very expensive mistake. But he doesn't know that yet. Won't know it for a while. Because I'm not some hot-headed kid who reacts immediately. I'm patient. And Rick Castellano is going to learn what it costs to disrespect John Gotti in front of witnesses. Not tonight, not tomorrow, but eventually, and by the time he realizes what's happening, it'll be too late. Next 18 months were quiet. Gotti never returned to Paradiso, gambled at other Atlantic City establishments, never spoke about Rick publicly, never threatened, never mentioned the incident. To everyone watching, he'd let it go. But anyone who thought that didn't understand how John Gotti operated. Revenge wasn't always immediate. Sometimes the best revenge was systematic destruction, so complete your enemy didn't realize they were under attack until their world was collapsing. Gotti started with information, had people research everything about Rick Castellano and Paradiso. Rick was 52, came from old Philadelphia money, got gaming license in 1982, borrowed heavily to build Paradiso, had silent partners whose names didn't appear on documents, leveraged to the point where casino needed specific profit margin just to service debt. Second marriage to woman 20 years younger. 2 kids from first marriage, lifestyle requiring 7 figures annually. Rick Castellano looked successful, but his financial foundation was built on sand. Gotti identified pressure points: casino suppliers, slot machines, gaming tables, liquor, food, linens, unions representing dealers, waitstaff, maintenance, security, transportation companies bringing high rollers, entertainment agencies booking shows, contractors handling repairs. Every business has an ecosystem, and Gotti started systematically influencing it. Not through violence, not through obvious intimidation, through quiet pressure that's perfectly legal but absolutely devastating. Slot machine suppliers suddenly had distribution issues, couldn't deliver new machines on schedule. Those machines got redirected to other casinos. Competitors had newest equipment. Paradiso had outdated machines that broke down frequently. Linen service started delivering late, incorrect orders, always with apologies about supply chain problems. Food suppliers raised prices, citing increased costs that somehow didn't affect other casinos. Small things. Individually, just bad luck. Collectively, increased operational costs and decreased customer satisfaction. Union work slowdowns. Not strikes, those drew attention, but dealers dealing slightly slower. Waitresses taking longer to deliver drinks. Maintenance completing repairs less efficiently. None of it dramatic or obvious. But profit margins in casinos are calculated by the minute. And when every operation takes 5 to 10% longer, that's real money over time. Paradiso started underperforming compared to competitors. Not catastrophically, just consistently. High roller transportation dried up. Car services from New York found reasons to recommend other casinos. Helicopter charter company had scheduling conflicts that resolved when clients chose different destinations. Word spreads in gambling world, and wealthy players hearing Paradiso wasn't the hotspot went elsewhere. Rick noticed. Quarterly reports showed declining revenue, increased costs, operational inefficiencies he couldn't identify or fix. He fired managers, changed vendors, offered new promotions. Nothing worked. He had no idea why. By late 1986, Paradiso was struggling. Still operational, but profits thinned to where Rick had trouble servicing debt. Banks started asking questions. Silent partners got nervous. His younger wife made comments about lifestyle needing adjustment. The stress was visible. Rick put on weight, started drinking more, looked 10 years older, still ran casino, still walked the floor in expensive suits, still projected success. But people who read Financial Trouble could see it on him. Then Gotti applied final pressure. One of Rick's silent partners was Vincent Terranova, Philadelphia businessman with complicated connections. Vincent had fronted 30% of Paradiso's construction and held significant undisclosed stake. Early 1987, Vincent received visit from New York associates explaining his investment might be better directed elsewhere. Not a threat, business suggestion, but Vincent understood business suggestions from New York. He pulled backing from Paradiso and demanded immediate repayment of his stake. Rick couldn't pay. Casino's cash flow couldn't cover both operations and sudden 8-figure buyout. He tried to borrow, but banks don't loan to underperforming casinos. Tried to find new partners, but word had spread. Nobody invests in sinking ships. April 1987. Rick Castellano sat in his office on 27th floor, looking at bankruptcy paperwork that would cost him everything. His casino, reputation, marriage, future, all circling the drain. That's when he got a visit from Sammy the Bull Gravano, wearing nice suit, carrying briefcase like legitimate businessman. Sammy sat down, set briefcase down, spoke with calm that comes from holding all cards. "Mr. Castellano, you've got financial problems." Rick's face pale, exhausted, defeated. "I don't see how that's your business." "It becomes my business when I represent people interested in Atlantic City gaming. You're about to lose this casino to bankruptcy. Beautiful place. Lot of potential. Shame to see it carved up by creditors. What do you want?" "To make you an offer. A group I represent is willing to buy Paradiso, not for full value obviously, but for enough to pay off debts, satisfy partners, leave you with something to start over somewhere else. Somewhere not Atlantic City." Rick stared, understanding forming. "Who's the group? Does it matter? You've got one buyer at the table, bankruptcy court in 3 weeks. Take the deal, walk away with something. Refuse, walk away with nothing and ruined name." Rick's hands shook. "This is about what happened 2 years ago, isn't it? When I banned Gotti." Sammy's expression didn't change. "Castellano, this is about business. Failing casino, investors interested in acquiring it. Simple transaction." But Rick understood. The systematic problems. Suppliers, unions, partners withdrawing, all orchestrated to bring him to exactly this point. 2 years of patient, methodical destruction, and he hadn't realized he was under attack until too late. He signed that afternoon, sold Paradiso for 40 cents on dollar, paid off debts, divorced second wife, left Atlantic City 6 months later, moved to Arizona, ran small construction business barely paying bills. The great Rick Castellano reduced to managing drywall contracts in Phoenix. Paradiso changed hands through complex transaction involving multiple shell companies. When dust settled, Casino had new management, new operations, and suddenly all those persistent problems mysteriously disappeared. Suppliers delivered on time. Unions worked efficiently. High rollers returned. Within a year, Paradiso was profitable again. Funny how that worked. John Gotti never publicly took credit, never spoke about Rick Castellano, never mentioned Paradiso acquisition, never acknowledged any connection. But everyone in organized crime knew. Everyone in Atlantic City knew. The story became legend, not because of violence, not because of threats, but because it demonstrated something more terrifying than immediate revenge. It demonstrated John Gotti had patience,
reach and intelligence to destroy you so slowly you wouldn't realize what was happening until your world was already ashes. 3 years after Rick Castellano banned him, John Gotti walked through that same casino entrance. This time nobody stopped him. New security greeted him with respect. New management sent complimentary drinks. He gambled few hours, won 12,000 at blackjack, had excellent dinner at steakhouse, left at midnight. On his way out he passed the spot where Rick's security guard had stopped him 3 years earlier. He paused there for just a moment, adjusted his tie and smiled. That same cold smile, the smile of a man who understands real power, isn't about immediate gratification. It's about playing the long game. It's about patience. And it's about making sure everyone who watches understands the lesson. You can disrespect John Gotti once, but you'll spend years paying for it. And by the time you realize what's happening, it'll already be far too late to stop. The story of Rick Castellano and Paradiso Casino is still told in Atlantic City, not as entertainment, as education, as reminder that in the world of organized crime, revenge doesn't always come fast. Sometimes it comes slow. Sometimes it comes methodically. Sometimes it comes so carefully orchestrated you don't realize you're being destroyed until you're already destroyed. And sometimes the most devastating victories are the ones that never make newspapers, never result in arrests, never create evidence, but absolutely and completely erase your enemy from relevance. That's the kind of power John Gotti wielded. Not just violence, not just intimidation, but the patient, intelligent, systematic dismantling of anyone stupid enough to challenge him. Rick Castellano learned that lesson. It cost him everything, and John Gotti never said a word about it. He didn't need to. The results spoke for themselves.